Hello there, how you doing? My name is Barack Little. I'm a strength coach, personal trainer. I'm an instructor of trainers at Show Up Fitness, but most importantly, I'm here to teach you how to pass the CSCS exam. All right, make sure you subscribe and check us out. We have live classes twice a week for our CSCS exam prep on Mondays and Thursdays. We also have a study guide with over 150 questions and notes, flashcards for each chapter. Today, we want to get into a topic that's very important for the exam. We're talking sports psychology, or the psychology of athletic preparation and performance, as the chapter is called in the CSCS book. That will be chapter 8. Now, this one is a very important one. It's a big part of the exam, and I know sometimes people can get kind of tied up on some of the terms and ideology, so I wanted to clear that up today. It's 24% of the exam, so there'll be a lot of questions on there. But let's just start off with the definition of sports psych. It's defined by the APA, American Psychological Association, as a proficiency that uses psychological knowledge and skills to address optimal performance and well-being of athletes, developmental and social aspects of sport participation, and systemic issues associated with sports settings and organizations. Now, we know that physical skill is obviously important in sport, but it's very easy to neglect some of the mental aspects, or we might just think it's as simple as, oh, get your head back in the game, or you got this, champ. Well, those can be some, various forms of motivation. It's not as simple as that. Everyone needs to know how to play at their optimal zone of functioning. That's eyes off, and it has to tie in with your appropriate arousal levels. So we'll just get into some of these topics. First and foremost, ideal performance state, and more specifically, the characteristics of that. Some of the things you want to be in an ideal performance state: absence of fear, no fear of failure, not thinking about analysis of performance, or just going, really delving in. That's something you worry about post-game. Narrow focus of attention. Again, we can't be locked in on a whole lot of things, or we're not going to be able to be attentive to the task at hand. Then a sense of effortlessness and personal control, and then a distortion of time and space. And then let's get into the three, similar terms that all go into one another that really, are based on sports psych. So arousal, then anxiety, and then stress. So arousal is going to be kind of the whole thing. It's going to be a blend of physiological, psychological activation in an individual and the intensity of motivation at a given moment. So again, this obviously is going to be important. We need to not only know where someone's level of arousal is, but we also need to know what's optimal for them. I always say, if you were an athlete coming up, you always know that one dude who he gets mad and he just turns it up, like Aaron Rodgers in football. He gets mad and he just starts playing great. But we also know maybe little league or youth league sports, that one guy who gets mad and he just loses it. So we purposely try to get him mad because his performance is off. That shows two different zones of optimal functioning. And also a very important topic, as I just touched on there, skill level is going to be very, very tied in. So the more skilled you are, hence like Aaron Rodgers, the better you perform while arousal rises. Whereas the less skilled you are is going to actually mess with a decrement in performance. And something similar to this is going to be the inverted U theory. It's saying that so think of an upside down U. It's going to say there's an increase in performance as your arousal goes up, but only to a certain point. And then that performance starts to fall again once the arousal's too high. And then again, that inverted U is going to be much further back for someone less skilled, and somebody more skilled. That arousal is going to be a lot higher before that performance drops. So when arousal is perceived negatively, now we're talking about anxiety. So we got cognitive anxiety versus somatic. Cognitive is more in the mind. Somatic is the physical manifestation of that anxiety: clenching up, stomach aches, heart rate going up, etc. Then we got state anxiety versus trait. State is going to be more in the moment. My first time in front of a big crowd, kind of freeze up. Whereas trait anxiety is going to be a personality characteristic and like a tendency to always be kind of just skeptical and nervous. That person who's always, is a little bit skeptical. And then stress is just going to be like that's a substantial imbalance between the demand and the response capability. And stress can have kind of a positive state, which would be eustress, and distress is going to be that negative state, and that can generate anxiety. From there, let's get into motivation. So we've all heard the word motivation. We typically know what it is. It's pretty much, how much do we want to do this? How intense or how much effort are we going to put into this task? Then we got intrinsic versus extrinsic. Does that motivation come from within? You really just want to do this to show it yourself? intrinsic. Or I just, hey, I want to win to impress that person. I want to win for that trophy. That's going to be extrinsic. Then we have achievement motivation. That's just going to be someone's level of like effort and hunger. So again, that the achievement they want might be extrinsic, but it goes deeper than that. They really have a hunger to master the task. And this one's going to actually be good. Compared to athletes similar in skill level, the one with more achievement motivation is typically going to be the one to succeed more. Next key topic in this chapter: reinforcement versus punishment. And this one can be a little tricky. I know because we got positive, negative, reinforcement, punishment. An easy tip I like to give: focus on the behavior at hand first. So if we want the behavior to continue, that's reinforcement. So let's go positive reinforcement. We are giving something to a player or athlete so that behavior continues. So think giving an award out for a good game. Hey, you had 10 tackles today, you get a sticker on your helmet. Now, negative reinforcement, we're going to take something away so that behavior continues that we want. So, hey guys, no conditioning after practice today if you continue to make all your free throws. All right, now we go into punishment. We want the behavior to stop. So as the name is, we want to think punishment, you're stopping them from doing something. Positive punishment can be a little tricky. We're presenting something, so reprimanding essentially, so that a behavior stops. So extra practice if a team keeps turning the ball over. Whereas negative punishment, we're taking something away so a behavior stops. Think of an athlete continually being late. That's the behavior. So the coach is going to bench them for the first half of a game. And you can kind of hear in this, we probably want to err to the side of using reinforcement more than punishment, because reinforcement is going to be the ways to reinforce behaviors, build self-efficacy and confidence in these players. Whereas punishment is just going to get people down, and it is going to have to be used. Just use it sparingly and accordingly. From there, we'll get into some relaxation techniques. These are going to be used to reduce physiological arousal and increase task-relevant focus. We got diaphragmatic breathing, really focus on breathing through that belly. That diaphragm is going to help you relax. PMR, or progressive muscle relaxation. This is a great one where you're focusing on tensing up the muscles, then relaxing. Is going to give you more of a relaxed state afterwards. Autogenic training, which can is similar to PMR and like script. We're telling them to clench and relax, but they may be injured or something, they can't do it. So it's really just focusing on that warm, tingling sensation in a muscle and relaxation. Then systematic desensitization is going to be a technique. Think of this from like typical psychology studies from people that are like scared of spiders, and they build up to the point where they show them that. So it's the same thing here. Think of somebody that had a traumatic event. Maybe they are a jumper. They're trying to be in a sport like basketball that requires jumping, but they jumped as a kid and broke a leg. So now we need to slowly desensitize them from being scared of that. So we put maybe PMR, progressive muscle relaxation, as they're being shown images of jumping, telling them you're pretty much desensitized to make it positive. A few more topics in this chapter is important. Imagery, obviously, it's just as it sounds. You're relaxing and giving a script to imagine yourself within a game or match. It's significantly shown in research that enhanced sport skill can be great for days you can't play, like injury. Self-talk, great. It is what it is. It's great for improving self-efficacy. If you can really talk yourself up and know how to do these things, it's gonna be great for your self-efficacy, which is again how well you perceive you can do a skill. And then goal setting. Remember that process goals are gonna be better than outcome goals. So again, week-to-week goals. Hey, I'm gonna make sure I put an hour of work in every day, because then that is based on your control, your effort. Whereas the outcome goal, I'm gonna go win the championship. It is a good goal to have, but again, you have no control. So you want to do processes that lead up to the outcome goal. And then short and long-term goals should be used in tandem. The short-term goals are for like that achievement, feeling a sense of success for the week-to-week, day-to-day gains. And then that long-term is going to provide that meaningfulness and direction, so you know why you're doing this for the long haul. And then lastly, motor skill learning. We got whole versus part practice, and then kind of just like feedback things. So obviously whole practice will be doing a full skill. Let's take a power clean. That could be a hard thing for somebody to do the first time. So again, we want to make sure we break that down if they're not ready. So part practice. We got things like segmentation. We break down these movements into segments. So for the power clean, we work on the first pull for a while, or the deadlift. Then we work on the transition. Then we work on the catch. So that would be segmentation. We got fractionalization, where that's kind of like breaking down a movement like a push press, where two things happen at once. like the overhead push and then the split lunge, doing those separate. Then you got pure and progressive part and repetitive part. Those are all part practice examples to know about. Then we got feedback. So we got intrinsic feedback. That's going to be the athlete. You're getting this from like your senses. Obviously, you're going to get that internally. That's intrinsic feedback, whereas augmented is going to be from the coach or the observer. Then knowledge of results is going to be performance on a test, like a 40. And then knowledge of performance is going to be like a feedback about like movement, think film. So again, all these things tie in. It's important to know how they all tie in, just not only physically, but mentally and optimally for performance. Let's just wrap up with one quick study question on the topic. Which of the following may hinder an athlete's focus during a competitive sport performance? We got a place kicker stretching their hamstrings or checking the turf. A basketball player really hearing the crowd yelling and seeing other players during the free throw, or a pitcher's awareness of players at every base. So in this situation, I kind of hinted at it earlier, it's going to definitely be the basketball player focusing on other players and the crowd noise. Pitcher being aware of players on base, that is not necessarily a narrow attention to focus, but it's important because you don't want people stealing bases or not being aware of who's on base for like a double play opportunity. And a place kicker stretching their hamstrings or checking the turf, that's going to be, good getting ready for that actual kick. It can help. Whereas focusing on crowd noise and other people during a free throw, that is not going to be great. It's more likely you're going to miss the free throw being too focused on those. All right, that's a wrap for Sports Psych today. Please reach out if you have any questions. Again, CSCS exam prep. We're here to help you pass the exam in 60 to 90 days. Talk to you soon.